I know it all, and I know it now. Imagine saying something so ridiculous. I know everything and I know everything now. How arrogant would that sound? How irresponsible, how ridiculous. So there's a great question then. If I am going to give advice, if I'm going to tell people what to do, if I'm going to help people with whatever challenge that they've got, when am I in the position, when is it okay for me to give advice? If I don't know everything, and of course we can't know everything, and if I don't know everything right now, when is it okay to tell other people what I do know? And I'm very challenged with that particular statement because there's a better statement that I live my life by and taught to me a very long time ago. What I do speaks so loudly that people can't hear what I say. And I share that passionately because at 13 years of age, and literally a little girl, I went looking for people, not wanting people to preach at me how to become healthy, fit and strong, how to have a career or business that you love, how to be financially free, and how to have great people in your life. I had plenty of preaching. I've been brought up in a religious environment where I was preached at quite regularly. I wanted to find people that were living like that because I wanted to see if it was possible. And as I often share, I couldn't find anybody that had all of that going for them. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen in the world, but I couldn't find anybody that was obviously healthy, fit and strong. And that's pretty obvious, isn't it? When you look at somebody, you can usually tell. It shines out of their eyes. It shines out of their posture. Doesn't matter what they're wearing. You can usually tell whether somebody's healthy, fit and strong. I wanted to talk to people that were not just financially free, but they were doing something that they really loved. They were making money from a career or business that they were really passionate about. And I certainly wanted to find people that had respectful, kind, gorgeous people in their inner circle. And I didn't find anybody. So I set a goal at 13, a little girl, that and it was a very realistic goal because I said by the time I'm 50, if a little girl looks into my life, I want her to be able to see, not me tell her, this is what you've got to do to be healthy, fit and strong, have a career or business that you love, be financially free and have great people in your life. I want her to be able to see by my living example that it is possible to do all of those things. So is it now possible that we have some real challenges as leaders, parents, teachers, bosses, coaches, pastors, that what we do is far more obvious than what we say? And how much do we need to know to be the living example for the people who are looking into our lives? Is it possible that if we say, I know that already, or I'm going to give you advice, that number one, if I know that already, how can I learn any more? And if I'm going to give you advice, isn't my advice based on what I know? So those two things go together. I don't know everything, and the advice that I'm going to give you is only based on what I know. So could it be respectful that if somebody asks for our advice, and there's two parts to this. One is that we don't give advice. We ask the right questions so that they can give themselves advice. Or if you're really busting to give somebody your opinion, your advice, could it be a really good idea to pre-frame it with, this is just my opinion. It might not be true. It's just in my experience. It's what has happened to me. If you apply it to your life, this is maybe not what's going to happen to you. And I'm going to use a very personal example. I decided at 13 to be healthy, fit and strong. I decided that I was going to have a career as an exercise professional, a personal exercise coach, and I've done that all of my life. I decided I was going to be financially free, and I ended up on the list of one of the richest people in Australia under the age of 40. And I've had some very beautiful relationships in my life. I've lived my life that way. When it comes to health and fitness, I've pretty much been the same size, the same weight, the same energy level. I was an overweight, chubby kid and decided I didn't want to live like that. So I've pretty much looked the same all of my life, multiple decades. But if somebody comes to me and says, Rowie, what do you do? I want to do what you do. I feel that it would be irresponsible for me to say, well, this is how I eat, this is how I exercise, this is what I do to be financially free, this is how I chose my career path, so you should do what I do. And it's interesting because it's been suggested that when it comes to social media influencing, there's two kinds of influencers. There's the people who say, look at me, look what I do, you should do what I do. So they influence people to copy them. These are my ripped abdominals. You can get my ripped abdominals if you do what I do. This is my beautiful ass. If you do what I do, you'll have this beautiful ass. versus the people that ask the questions and get people to think for themselves. And obviously that's what I'm here for every day. I could share with you what I do. I've been healthy, fit and strong all of my life. I've had a career or business that I've never had a lousy, stinking, rotten job. I've always done what I'm passionate about. Every single day of my life, I've been able to wake up and love what I do. I've had the opportunity to be financially free, and I only have beautiful people in my life. But if you came to me and said, Rowie, please tell me what you do so that I can do it, I would ask you a series of questions. And I'm just hoping that as a parent, a teacher, a coach, a boss, a pastor, a leader, that instead of giving advice, that we do ask these kinds of questions, which is more importantly than what I've done. What do you want to do? What are your goals? What's important to you? What are your core values? What drives you? What's your ambition? What do you think will make you happy? What do you think you should do? My favourite question when it comes to food and exercise. If you were your own high-performance eating and exercise coach, what advice would you give yourself? Now, the beautiful thing about that, apart from being a very respectful question to the person that I ask, no one has ever said to me, I think that I should eat takeaway food every day, I should drink copious amounts of alcohol, I should take drugs, I should eat highly processed crappy food and sit on the couch and do nothing. If I was my own high-performance eating and exercise coach, that's the advice I would give myself. No one has ever said that to me. People have shared with me what they think they should do. And is it possible that if somebody shares with me what they think they should do, that it's more likely that they're going to do it rather than me, complete stranger, or me with a completely different lifestyle to them, or me with completely different genetics to them, telling them what to do? And I'm asking this as a very personal question because I live in a world where you literally can go, you and I could both go right now to the internet, we could go to a website, we could buy an exercise program, we could buy an eating plan or a combination of both, and the person that we bought it off wouldn't know whether we were male or female, they wouldn't know how old we are, they wouldn't know what our goals are, they wouldn't know what's important to us, they wouldn't know any of our medical challenges, they wouldn't know anything about us. They would just take our money and deliver an eating and exercise program. And I find that offensive. How about you? Now, in their defense, they have every right to do that. What I find really offensive is that people would go there and buy that product and then expect it to work without that person knowing what you want to do and what your goals are, what's important to you, what you want to achieve, how old or young you are, how much muscle you've got, how much, what's your experience been with eating and exercise in the past. There's a whole multiple long list of questions that if you are a personal exercise coach, if you're a parent, a teacher, a boss or a leader, and somebody comes to you and asks for advice, isn't there more that we need to know about that person before we just randomly give advice? And if you do feel the need to do that, I'm going to ask the question again. Could it be a really good idea that you pre-frame it with, okay, you've asked for my advice, I will give it to you, but please know that this is only my experience in my life with my limited amount of knowledge. Because regardless of how knowledgeable I think I am, and I'm going to use myself as an example because I have been studying anatomy, physiology, the human body, safe exercise and healthy eating plans since I was 13 years of age, and now I'm a very old lady. It's been my entire career path. I've been the same weight, the same size, the same energy level, the same passion for living my whole entire life, which I changed at 13 and have lived this way my entire life. And if somebody came to me and asked for my advice, I still wouldn't give it to them because I don't know enough about them. And I can't, what works for me may not work for somebody else. My lifestyle is completely different to somebody else's. My genetics are completely different to somebody else's. I want to find out about the person and how that, everything that they like and don't like, everything that they've experienced. And I always ask this question, have you ever been healthy, fit and strong? Have you ever loved what you've seen in the mirror? And if now you don't, what advice would you give yourself? If this is how you used to be and this is how you are now, what do we need to do to bring you back to what you used to be? If you have never been healthy, fit and strong, what advice would you give yourself? What do you think you need to do? And the reason I ask that question, apart from the fact that most human beings know exactly what they need to do, and no one's ever said to me that they need to eat crappy food and don't be inactive, but I need to know what other people's opinions are, what they believe in, what their convictions are, what their religious beliefs are. And I always use the example, I might believe that plant-based eating is fantastic and you should only eat stuff that grows in the ground. But what if I've got a carnivore in front of me? The reverse, what if I've got somebody in front of me that would never eat animals for religious reasons, or they would never eat animals for, they just don't want to hurt animals. And I say to them, you should eat red meat because it's good for you. I could offend them, hurt them, turn them off exercise for the rest of their life, turn them off healthy eating for the rest of their life. These are some of the silly mistakes I think we make as adults because we think we know everything, or we think we know a lot, or we think we know a little bit about that. Because it worked for me, I'm going to tell you. And have you noticed that there's a lot of people who share information based on, I lost 30 kilos, or I used to be an elite athlete, or this worked for me, so you should do it because it will work for you. A nice pre-frame for that might be, this is my story, this is what I did, this is my opinion. If you want to try it, that's completely up to you. But please don't think that because it worked for me, it's going to work for you. Would that be fair? Arrogance, I think, is ugly. What do you think? People who think they know everything, I think that's ugly. How could you possibly know everything? And I'll share again, I have been studying the human body all of my life, and I know about a bee's willy amount about how the human body works. When I talk to endocrinologists about the hormonal system, that's what they have studied all of their life. I've got a basic understanding of how the hormonal system works, but I get blown away by their intense knowledge of one body system. When you talk to psychiatrists or psychologists or neuroscientists, they have a massive amount of knowledge about how the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system works, the autonomic nervous system. They just blow my mind how much knowledge they've got. And yet I see daily on social media, because I have to watch it. Unfortunately, I'm in the position as an educator that I have to watch the stuff that people send me because it would be disrespectful not to. I have people who send me stuff, and I watch stuff on social media where people are talking about whatever they're talking about. It's obvious that they have no understanding whatsoever at all about how the central nervous system works, or how the hormonal system works, or how the digestive system works, or how the human body works. And yet they're preaching and teaching, this is what you should eat and this is how you should exercise. Let alone if I go into how does business work, how to be financially free, and how to have great relationships. Those 4 areas of life, which I think are living life to the max, they're the things that I study every day intensely. How does the human body work? How to make sure that you've got all the skills, tools, and knowledge that you need to have a career or business that you love, that is successful and profitable. How to be financially free, and how to be a great communicator so that you attract great people into your life, clients, members, family, friends, partner, and that you have a great relationship with yourself. But if you were to ask me, Rowie, how much do you know about all of those things, I would share with you passionately about a bee's willy, which is not very much, not very long. I don't know very much about anything. I'm just studying it every single day because I want to learn more. And I'll ask that question again. If you say, I know that already, is it possible that your ability to learn any more gets completely shut off? Versus, how can I learn more? Is there more to learn? What more can I learn? And a great question, even if you think you know a lot about everything, what if you ask this question? Can I learn it so I can explain it more simply? There's a great quote that says, if you can't explain it simply, maybe you don't understand it yourself. If I can't explain something to a 5, 6, 7-year-old child and make it so simple and easy to understand that they can explain it to their friend, then I have to go back and study more, because I can't make it simple and easy to understand. And I want our kids to understand how to be healthy, fit and strong, how to have a career or business that they love, how to be financially free, and how to have great relationships. I don't want them to have to wait till they're 15, 20, 35, or like I did, a lot of my life experience happened by horrible mistakes. I had to learn the hard way, because nobody ever said to me when I was a child, Rowie, you need to consider some of these things. Have you considered to learn how the human body works? Have you considered that it might be important to have a career or business that you're absolutely passionate about? Have you considered that to be financially free, you should spend less than you earn, you should invest wisely? There's so much about everything that happens in the world that we know so little about, and yet there seems to be so many people that have such big opinions with such small amount of knowledge. Now, that people can do whatever they want to do. I'm just asking us, you and me personally, if somebody comes to us for advice, or if you want to give advice, or you want to help people to be healthy, fit and strong, have a career or business that they love, be financially free and have great people in their life, are we continually learning so that we're not just repeating something that somebody else told us? That's the most embarrassing thing that I've ever done, is just regurgitate somebody else's opinion, worse, vomit somebody else's opinion without finding out about the person that's asking me the question. So I feel responsible to ask the questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? Where do you want it? When do you want it? How will you feel if you get it? How will you feel if you don't get it? Are you on track or off track to getting it? If you were your own high performance eating and exercise coach, career coach, financial coach, relationship coach, what advice would you give yourself? Because is it more likely that people will listen to their own advice rather than from a complete stranger? And then, is it possible that if I really want to help people achieve their goals, to have it or live their life to the max, that it's about holding them accountable to what they've said they want to do, not me telling them what to do? Could that be something to consider? In a world where we are bombarded every day with people's opinions and advice and convictions and you should and you must. And the reason I can share that so passionately is people contact me on a regular basis. And I've been doing this all of my life, nearly 6 decades, and people say, Rowie, you should eat this way, and Rowie, you should exercise this way, and Rowie, you should. And no one ever asks me what I might already know, and nobody ever asks me what I might want to do, what I like to do, what has worked for me. And I'll share again from a lady who has pretty much looked the same and been the same weight, size, energy level, passionate, happy person for nearly 60 years. It's really funny that people should tell me what to do. I don't want to be that person. I might even have the right to. I'm an old lady that's highly educated with a big long list of courses and education that I've done, and I study every day. But I still would feel irresponsible and embarrassed to tell people what to do, because it's not about me. It's about what the other person believes, what their convictions are, and what will actually work for them. So if we're going to help people, could it be a really good idea to be humble, to keep learning, to understand the other person, and to ask that beautiful question: if you were your own high performance eating and exercise coach, career coach, financial coach, relationship coach, what advice would you give yourself? And is it more likely then that people could come up with their own advice? Because we're pretty smart, us humans. If you ask people, what do you need to do to be successful? What do you need to stop doing to be healthy, fit and strong? What do you need to change if you want your life to be different? Most people are pretty clear on what they need to do. They don't really want our advice. Is that possible? What they really want is somebody to listen to what they have promised themselves they're going to do, and perhaps somebody to hold them accountable. I would love our world to be healthy, fit and strong. I would love everybody to have a career or business that you love. I would love everybody to be financially free and not have money control their life. And I would love everybody to have great relationships. But I will never tell people what to do. How about you?